Deep in the heart of the jungle, the last of the ancient temples has been discovered. It's up to you to get all of your priceless relics out first in Temple Raider, which was designed by Eric Wieditz, Carolyn Klimek, Luke Peterschmidt, and Mike Mullins, and published by Jack's Wild Games, who sponsored this video. Hi everyone, my name is Candace Harris from Board Game Geek. There are precious relics we need to get out of the temple, so let's get down to the table to learn how to play Temple Raider. In Temple Raider, 2 to 4 players are racing against each other to be the first player to escape the temple with all of their relics. Each game, you'll take turns rolling dice to move your relics down the steps and out of the temple. You'll also have the opportunity to play a variety of power cards to help you escape. Be careful though, if you step in lava, eruptions can send your relics back. The first player to have all of their relics escape the temple wins. But before we start moving our relics, let's go over the setup for Temple Raider. To begin, take all the components out of the box and place the temple in the middle of the play area. Then each player takes a player board and connects it to the side of the temple closest to them. Next, each player chooses a color relic and sets them up on the top step of the temple on their side. Each player also takes the 16 cards associated with their relic color and shuffles them to form a draw pile, which should be placed next to their player board. Then, each player draws 3 cards from their draw pile and places them face up on the indicated spots on their player board. Next, you'll place the 3 dice with white numbers in the center of the temple. If you're playing a 3-player game, add the die with the yellow numbers to the center of the temple as well. And if you're playing a 4-player game, you'll also add the die with the red numbers in with the other dice. Then, randomly determine who goes first and have the second player move their 2 relic down 1 step. If there's a 3rd player, that player moves their 4 relic down 1 step. And if there's a 4th player, that player moves their 6 relic down 1 step. Now you're ready to start escaping from the temple. Temple Raider is played over a series of turns in clockwise order until a player has all of their relics escape the temple, which immediately ends the game and that player wins. On your turn, you roll all of the dice in the center of the temple. Then you choose 2 dice and place them on the platform on your side of the temple. To use your dice, you can either use the 2 numbers you rolled separately in any order, or you can add the 2 numbers together and use the combined value. For example, if you choose a 4 and a 5, you could either use the 4 and 5 separately, or you can combine them and use a value of 9 for your turn. Regardless if you choose to use your 2 numbers separately or combine them, for each number you can either move the relic of the same number 1 step down on the temple, or you can activate and discard a power card that has the same number. After you use your 2 dice separately or combined, starting with the player to your left, each other player chooses one of the remaining dice in the temple, places it on their platform, and uses it to move a relic or activate and discard a power card, as I previously described. Then, after all of the dice have been chosen and used, your turn ends and the player to your left starts their turn. If you choose to combine your dice on your turn to form an 11 or 12, it becomes a wild, and you can move any one of your relics 1 step down the temple. But you can't use a wild to activate power cards, since there aren't any power cards with the number 11 or 12. When a relic takes the last step off of the temple, it escapes. When this happens, you immediately draw new power cards from your deck to replace any empty card spots on your player board, and then you place the relic in either the altar room, storage room, or camp area on your player board. If both spots on your altar room are filled with relics, any wild or combined value of 11 or 12 will now move any relic down 1 and move your smallest relic down 1 as well. Meanwhile, relics in your storage room can be moved to camp to increase the value of a die you're using by 1. So you could move a relic from your storage room to your camp to change this 2 to a 3. But the camp doesn't have any special powers of its own. There are also orange lava spaces on the temple steps as well as lava icons on the dice. If the active player chooses 2 dice with lava icons on them, an eruption happens. And when an eruption happens, the player who caused the eruption can move any one relic on a lava space back up the temple 1 space. This is a great way to slow your opponents down. Eruptions can also happen by activating power cards. If a card creates a double or triple eruption, it means the player who used the card gets to choose up to 2 or 3 relics on lava to move back up the temple by 1 space. If you play an eruption power card, but there are either no relics in lava spaces or no relics applicable for moving, you can still use the card to move your smallest relic. Not only do you have the option to potentially trigger an eruption when choosing your dice, but if at any time a player cannot or chooses not to move any relics or use any power cards, whether it's their turn or not, they can either move 1 relic from the camp area of their player board into the storage room, or move one of their relics left 1 number if the space is empty. Again, the first player to have all their relics escape the temple wins the game, and that's how you play Temple Raider. But before you go, there are a few additional rules and clarifications worth mentioning. You can only move relics onto open spaces. Therefore, anytime a player is moving a relic, whether their own or an opponent's, the relic must end on an open, empty space without another relic on it. For example, you could not move this relic back for an eruption since there's already another relic directly behind it. Anytime the rules or cards refer to the smallest relic, that is the smallest value relic still on your side of the temple. And if there are more than 1 relic sharing the smallest value, it would be the one closest to escaping. For example, this 3 relic would be considered the smallest relic because it's the lowest value and closest to escaping. Spaces 1 and 2 have 2 back-to-back lava steps, so if either the 1 or 2 relic moves backwards into lava during a double or triple eruption, the player who caused the eruption may use either the 2nd or 3rd eruption to move that same relic back again. Temple Raider is an exciting and engaging game since players are racing against each other to escape with their relics, and there are a lot of interesting choices with which dice to use and how you want to use them, since you can move relics and use power cards. Or you could not do either and strategically shift one of your relics left. Even when it's not your turn, you're involved in the game because you get to draft and use a die on everyone else's turn. Plus, the lava and eruptions add some risk and additional player interaction where you can manipulate your opponent's relics, which is cool. Or technically hot, since we're talking about orange lava here. And if Temple Raider seems like a game you'd enjoy, be sure to check out his page on Board Game Geek to learn more. I'm Candace Harris from Board Game Geek, and that is how you play Temple Raider. Have a great day.